I want to get a little housekeeping out of the way, and then we will dive in. As some of you may have just heard, we are recording, so know that this broadcast is being recorded and we will be posting it on social media. The other important piece of information of tonight is we are trying something new, our first ever live broadcast. Thanks to everyone at the Cigar Shop. We are actually broadcasting this HERf into the Cigar Shop on the rocks tonight. One of the things that I think is the coolest about the cigar industry is I want to shout out Julie, who's actually the marketing director at Smoke and Oak, a different cigar shop, but she's headed over to the Cigar Shop on the rocks tonight to help make sure this broadcast runs smoothly. So thank you very much, Julie. I think that says everything you need to know about how the cigar business takes care of itself and the community we have. I think we also have Todd Johnson on. Todd owns the Cigar Shop. Thank you for letting us try this in your shop for the first time ever. Monica and Dwight from the Cigar Shop are also with us, and they helped arrange everything. So we'll see how it goes. But with that in mind, please do remember we are broadcasting to a cigar lounge. Not everybody in the lounge is a member of PCA or on the commercial side of the cigar business. So please remember that we've got a lot of great consumers tuning in tonight, and let's keep it clean for them. I also think we might have some new Alliance PCA members, which is a new thing the PCA is doing, opening up membership to a broader set of people. And so I kind of want to shout at anybody who is from the Alliance. If you are, throw a hand up just so we can see you. But we're excited to be broadening who we're reaching, and we hope it's successful and we do many more of these. With that, I'm going to kind of dive in. Normally, I would introduce all the committee members. We have a lot of Women of PCA committee members on tonight. I'm going to try first names, but Michelle, who is on the events committee, is actually going to make sure she puts everyone's socials into the chat. So reach out to any of us on the committee if you guys have any questions. But I see Teresa and Hina are both on, who are also board members. Kathleen, of course, but she's also a panelist, so I'll introduce her in more detail. From the membership committee, Michelle is on, and Monica. And on events, I know we also have Monica and Hina and Shanika on. If I forgot somebody, I'm so sorry. Hopefully Michelle will catch it. But I want to dive in and introduce our very special panelists this evening. We have three great panelists who all helped bring the Rise cigar to all of you and to market, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. I want to start with George Rico. George is a PCA board of director. He is the owner and master blender at Gran Habano Cigars, a fourth generation tobacco family, and the blender behind Rise. George, say hello.
Good evening to everyone. Hi. Thank you for having me. It's a great pleasure to be part of this this podcast. So I'm looking forward to having an opportunity to tell the story behind Rise. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Kathleen Kelly, PCA board member, founding member and sponsor of the Women of PCA. Kathleen works very closely with all of us, but most especially the event committee. And she is the owner of Queensberry Cigar and Pipe and was in many ways, I think, the godmother of Rise, but we'll hear more about that tonight. Kathleen, do you want to say a few words?
Yes. Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be on this call and talk about Rise.
And last but most certainly not least, Krista Herbert, who is a broker for C&M Cigar Brokers, and she is a member of the Women of PCA Event Committee. She is here to represent how you can get Rise from the factory to your shelves, and she could talk a lot about how she is positioning the cigar in the marketplace. She is responsible for selling the cigar. We know that's not an easy task. Welcome, Crystal. Want to say hi?
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me.
All right. Do we have any women? This is really a Teresa and Kathleen question. Do we have any women of PCA or PCA in general? Anything we need to announce before we really, really dive in?
No, I think we're ready to dive in.
Cool. Okay. So for the audience, feel free to throw up the little raised hand icon, and Michelle and Monica will be helping monitor and jump in and interrupt me if you guys have questions. We like to ask things as we go. We will also pause at the end for additional questions. So if we do miss you, there will be a chance at the end to come back around and ask more questions. Again, just a reminder to everybody, we are recording and we are broadcasting to a live audience of consumers as well as people in the cigar industry. So just keep that in mind, please. And we'll get started. I have a quick question. I'm going to start. And guys, for our panelists, I'll try to kind of call on you, but I kind of tend to go in the order of how you're showing up on my screen. So bear with me. But a question for all of you guys. We'll start with Kathleen, because I know you were part of this at the beginning, although you may say that it was really George. But can you guys kind of tell us about how did this start? Like, when was the first kernel of the idea of having a cigar for the women of PCA?
Yeah, I mean, it really was. I have to credit George with the initial conversation. Um, when Women of PCA started in 2023, we had ideas about doing a cigar. As you know, I'm on the board. Teresa's on the board. We had discussions, and George got elected to the board of directors. And last September, we had our in-person meeting in DC that we do every year. And George brought up the idea of Gran Habano doing that cigar and collaborating with the Women of PCA to put a cigar together that could help us fundraise and give back to the industry. And I think George put it perfectly. Not only, and we'll get into that, did he come up with the name Rise, but I love what he said. Rise was made by women for everyone. So this is a cigar that is made for everyone to smoke and enjoy. But that's really kind of how it came together.
Great.
And then, of course, I just want to
George-
add that our events committee, the ladies did work very hard on the cigar as well, as far as what they were looking for artwork and packaging and the band and all that as well.
Great. And George, from your perspective, you could have chosen any project to get behind for Gran Habano. What was it about Women of PCA and this particular project that spoke to you?
No, I think for me, honestly, was the fact that meeting Kathleen and really kind of understanding, I didn't know that Women of PCA at that time was actually a thing, to be quite honest. But during the meeting, our in-person board meeting, I got to really see the energy that the women brought to that day when I first got there, to walking the halls and really expressing their views and being part of the cigar industry in itself. And I thought it would be a great idea to participate and work with them to bring something that could really represent them in the industry, but at the same time to help to contribute to continue to expand their efforts. And that's really where it came out of the conversation that Kathleen and I had, where how can we continue to make this bigger? And I think it's a graphic that is part of our industry. That sometimes people don't really think that there's so many more women that are store owners or cigar brand owners, and it was a good way to highlight that, and then have it eventually be something of its own. So that was sort of the idea behind that for me. I think it's a fun project. Overall, it's something that really kind of embodies what I felt was the Women of PCA and the start of that. So,
and Crystal, I know you would have been involved from the event committee side, but when did it start to become evident, or how did you end up being the woman who was going to be out hitting the pavement to make sure these got on shelves?
Well, I will tell you, because my territory is massive and I'm the only sales rep broker on the committee. I was like, I offered it up. I was like, well, how are we going to get them out there? I'm already on the road. So it just made sense for me because my territory with my partner, we span a lot, most of the East Coast. So it just made sense.
That's great. Why don't you take, because we do have a live audience who may not be as familiar with what it means to be the broker or the sales rep or anything, maybe in, a few sentences, why don't you fill the audience that's at the cigar shop on the rocks in a little bit about what your day looks like or what your week might look like?
Well, I just got back home for the first time after being on the road for 4 weeks straight with not seeing my apartment. But it's a lot of road time, so hours of driving and visiting shops, making sure that like the product that I have in those stores is full, and seeing what the retailers need from me, not just from like getting them product, but like any other support that they might need, setting up events, doing events. I mean, it's a lot of back end stuff too, setting up follow-up emails, text messages, phone calls, invoicing, all of that. It's a lot.
So with that, I'll do a shameless plug for Rise. So Rise is for sale at the cigar shop, but also if you have and I'm sure it's for sale at Queensbury as well. If you have a local cigar shop in your area that is not carrying it, get in touch with Crystal. Michelle can probably throw Crystal's information into the chat. So, but as somebody who works on the manufacturing side, I can tell you one of the best ways in the world for a cigar to get on the shelf is if the consumers in the shop start asking for it. So if you're watching and you're interested, please reach out. And I know everybody watching tonight can get at the cigar shop, can get it directly from the cigar shop. Anyway, thank you for filling us in. For each of you, and so Crystal, since you're kind of already front and center, we'll start there. When did this all start to feel real? I'm sure there were lots of conversations where you guys were talking about it, but when did you really realize, like, oh my gosh, the Women of PCA are going to have a cigar and I'm going to get to go out and sell it?
Can you repeat that? Sorry.
No problem. When did you really realize that this was happening, right? That it's one thing to have an idea, but when was it really evident that it was going to go from an idea to fruition and it was going to be at PCA and you were going to be the person out selling it?
Yeah. I don't know. It never really, I don't think it's actually fully hit me yet.
Fair.
To be honest with you. I mean, I have the cigars. I mean, I have them right here, but honestly, like, I think like when we were in the whole, planning process and everything like that, you never really know until it's like fully like ready and in your hands. So maybe like, the first time it was like at the PCA when George gave them to me.
Right. That's great. George, from your perspective, you certainly controlled a lot of the front end process, and we'll talk more about the blending and everything. But was there a moment for you when you really realized that it was going to go from a blend you created into a finished good that you were going to get to work on with Women of PCA at PCA?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I guess with like any of my projects that I work on, it was once the final presentation and the final blend was picked, I think that's really when it starts to take shape and you start to realize that now you have to really bring it to market for me. And the approval by the Women of PCA really kind of hammer that final nail that needed to be put into the foundation of creating it. So for me, it was at that time that I felt like, all right, we could take it to the show, have a great presentation, and let people try it, and then go from there. The acceptance, of course, like anything, I think it's just started to hit the stores, is always a fearful thing for me because it's a project that I worked on, and they got to sample it and try it, but at the end of the day, the consumer is the one that's going to try it and really accept it, and hopefully they could see all the work that went into the project.
Great. And Kathleen, what about for you? When did it go from an idea to a promise to something real and tangible?
I think, really for me, the part where it became real and exciting was seeing the band that George and his people designed. Because I see Maria from PCA is on the call, and she said it perfectly. The band tells a story. And I love that band so much. And what I love, like George said, when we got together, we also had our PCA, Women of PCA Policy Conference in DC. It was the first time in 5 years that we met as PCA and Women of PCA with legislators at the Capitol. We had over 80 meetings, and there were women just running around the Capitol meeting their legislators. And it was a really strong moment. And George put the Capitol in the band too. And I just thought it was so cool. He did such a beautiful job. It's probably hard to see, but this is the
I'm so
box.
glad that you have that.
Yeah, it comes in a 10 count box. Beautiful packaging. This is the band picture on here. I just got them in on Friday. And my customers have been loving them, but the band is just absolutely beautiful. So that was the reality for me where it really hit me that we're doing this.
And Kathleen, as a owner of a cigar shop and a member of the board and an integral part of launching the Women of PCA, what did it mean to you to be able to have a cigar that actually where a portion of the proceeds come back to the Women of PCA?
Yeah, I think it's really important. We've had a lot of support and sponsorships for events and different things that we do. But this is going to help us focus on our mission, and it's going to be a way to sustain that for us and contribute to the industry that we're trying to grow, protect, and make it welcoming for women in the industry and everybody, really.
Great. Let's talk about the cigar. George, the blend.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the cigar, what's in it, why that combination, how you arrived at the blend.
Well, the components, as you guys notice, it's a Habano wrapper from Ecuador. That's a really nice, tasty, luscious wrapper. It's a very oily wrapper that really adds significant flavor to the blend, and it's got some great Nicaraguan tobaccos from my farms, my family's farms in Nicaragua. So bringing that together was kind of interesting because you want to be able to have the whole country of Nicaragua be represented within the blend, but at the same time, you want to create a product in a blend that it's accessible to everyone, that's enticing, that you could smoke it over and over. And it's something that I worked on to have nuances and flavors that anyone could sort of pick out as they're smoking with the cigar. So it was something that I was working on for 5 years, and this was a great project to pair it together with. And it was something that I think was at the end of the day, like I said, the consumer is gonna judge the final product. But I think it's a very tasty cigar. It's a medium body with a lot of flavor, a lot of complexity, and that's really where I try to stick within my wheelhouse of blending. So
You come from a fourth generation tobacco family. How did that inform the cigar? And did any of the women in your family kind of inform the decisions you were making, either from literally or just from inspiration?
Well, from inspiration wise, I mean, people sometimes don't realize that the manufacturing side of my family, I'm a fourth generation tobacco farmer, uh, third generation cigar maker. The original cigar maker in my family is my grandmother, my nonna, in Colombia. So that sort of ties everything together where it's, having grown up in the industry, having my mother be part of the industry as well, my grandmother, my aunts, it sort of really kind of gave me a perspective and an understanding that people it's not just the one demographic industry, and that's where sometimes people get it wrong, that there's so much to it. And so I wanted to have that be representative throughout all of my projects, but this one in particular was something that I really took some time to really work on, and things that I sometimes would work with my grandmother at the farm, and that's why some of the materials that we picked were for that particular blend. So
I love it. I'm gonna make an ask. If you have any pictures of you working in the fields or factory with the women in your family, I would love it so much if you would share. We would
Yeah.
love to post those on the Women of PCA Facebook page. That's really special. And to have that many different women in so many generations is something to be proud of. And I know we'd love to share it with other women.
Yeah, no, I would love to share that, and I will. Our factory manager is a woman, and she's my cousin's wife. So in essence,
Great.
there's a lot of women within my industry, within my company that participate, and we want to continue to voice their knowledge as well with the blend. So
I know all the female members of the Women in PCA want to to help spotlight women that are in the business. I think a lot people in the business know how involved women are, but I think there's still a lot of consumers who aren't aware of how integral women are to the cigar industry. And so I think pictures do a lot to really help tell that story.
yeah.
Um, so you also made a cigar, and you mentioned this when you were talking about how you blended different tobaccos from different regions. How much did you think about that a cigar was being made, though it's made by women for everyone, because it was made by women, it might attract more women than the average cigar? And did you think about that when you were thinking about the flavor profile, the strength, making sure that it stayed very, very approachable to people of all sizes, shapes, genders, etc.?
Yeah, no. Overall, that was my thought that in essence, this is a cigar and that's why I didn't want to make it a mild cigar. And I'm not saying that women just smoke mild cigars, but in essence, I think the perception with some men think that women smoke mild cigars, and that's not the right approach. So I wanted to sort of make a cigar that anybody could enjoy, that represented the palate of not just the regular consumer, but every consumer,
Yeah.
in essence. And that's where the phrase that Kathleen that I mentioned to her, because it's a cigar for everyone. It's made and it's to help fund what's happening with women in PCA, but at the end of the day, it's a cigar for everyone.
And how quickly did the blend come together?
So no, it took some time actually.
Okay.
So like I said, that there was a backstory to the blend, and a blend that I've been working on for like 5 years, and it sort of worked in tandem and parallel to what when I talked to Kathleen, I was like, wow, I was working on this project. I was originally going to launch a cigar with my grandmother's name on it. And I thought, wow, this would be a great opportunity to use that blend and that idea to come together with this project. And I think this would be a much better project for the blend. So that's why I decided, and it took me about 5 years.
It's very cool and very special.
Yeah, yeah.
Crystal, how do you talk about and position the blend when you're out talking to shop owners, but also I imagine you probably talk to some consumers about it as well?
Yeah. Well, obviously, I'm just trying to like get the word out there right now because a lot of people a lot of people don't know about it, right? And so like I take the cigars in with me to every single meeting. And I tell them about it, the story behind it, and what we're doing and that sort of thing. And it gets a lot of people excited actually, especially when most of the time, I have retailers, their wives are very involved in the business and they're like, oh, this is amazing. Or they have a lot of like women that, come to the lounge. And so, it is just basically talking about it at every single place that I go to and just telling the story behind it.
Great. Kathleen, the cigar was created to honor the resilience, purpose, leadership of women in the cigar industry. It sounds like you just got the cigars in and you've been talking about that. I imagine you've been talking about that with people. I'd love, and I'm sure everybody would how's it landing? How is it receptive? Have you been surprised by people's reaction, and enlightened by it? Like, now that it's been a few months since PCA, how are you feeling about the whole project?
Yeah, I mean, I feel great about it. Now, the cigars just shipped. So we just received our cigars on Friday
Okay.
to the shop, and we made a spot front and center for them. My customers knew they were coming. I know, I mean, look, we all know cigar lounges, right? It's about friendship and camaraderie and getting together with your customers. I've fortunately been in business for 32 years. I've had the honor of doing this for a long time, which I am very grateful for. But, cigars tell a story, right? And so I have been talking about this story with my customers for a long time. So they were very excited to have the cigars come in. They were surprised how good they were. I think, George, to your point, they thought, oh, maybe they're going to make something super mild because it's for women. So it surprised people how great the cigar was and that it's got flavor and nuance to it. And I had a regular customer that buys from me all the time. He bought one cigar yesterday and came back and bought a box immediately before he left because he loved the cigar so much. So people have been very receptive to it. And like I say, the cigars tell a story. And this is a great cigar with a beautiful story to it.
Great. The name. Let's talk about the name. How was Rise chosen?
I gotta throw that to George again.
George, I think this is all you, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, I gave it the name because it's a great poem by Maya Angelou, and at the same time, I think it kind of gave rise, and it fit very well with the resilience of what the women of PCA, what they were trying to do and accomplish, and I thought that would be a fitting name for it, the rise of something different and new, and that's why I picked that. I mean, overall, I think it's just a powerful name. It's just a really powerful name that I felt that they could use and continue to use as they continue their mission statement, right?
And I think also we want to help as women help each other rise up in the industry, right? So I think it represents that too, working with each other, building each other up.
Yeah, yeah. No, and it's very fitting. I think that's it. And I think you guys will add more to it. I mean, I just wanted to give it some push it out there, and I think you guys will fill in the colors that are going to add into the overall picture, and then hopefully that will come through. So I'm glad to hear that.
Great. Uh, Kathleen, I'm so happy you brought up that Rise is also, very much about what Women of PCA is about. And with that, is there a moment in your career that kind of captures what Rise means to you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to get emotional. Yeah, I mean, it reminds me really, Rise for me. I went through a lot of personal changes in 2013 and I bought my own building. And I think there was a lot of doubt there whether I could do this or not. And really, here we are in 2026, and it worked. My vision worked, and I was able to rise out of the ashes of some really, not great stuff and build this to what it is. And I love this about Women of PCA. Again, us all working and building each other up in the industry.
Well, thank you for sharing that, and congratulations on 13 years. That is a huge accomplishment. Crystal, what about you? Is there a Rise moment you can think about that you would want to share with the group?
Yeah. So when I first started in the industry, I worked for a smaller company inside in-house. And I knew I was meant for something more. And I've always been a business owner. Before I came into the cigar industry, I owned businesses. And I've just, I knew that I wasn't meant to work directly for somebody. So when, I was working for that brand, I did a lot of networking and, started meeting a lot of people and stuff like that. And I took the leap, became a broker. And it has been like insanely successful, so much so I just hired my first employee and we'll have
Congrats.
another employee by the end of this year. So yeah, that is, I would say, definitely a good moment for me.
What an incredible accomplishment. And hats off to take the leap. That's awesome.
Yeah.
George, do you have a rise moment that you want to share? Please.
Well, for me, honestly, maybe a rise moment, having come into the industry as young as I did, I was 17, 18 as a kid and working my way through, and growing up in my dad's business is finally taking over the company and understanding, my father understanding that he could let go and let me run the business. And I think that was something very important for me back in 2014. And it just gave me the confidence to continue to work hard at what I love to do since I was a kid. So that was my moment, and I've never taken it for granted. So
That's wonderful.
yeah,
Thank you
thank
guys
you.
for sharing very personal stories.
Yeah.
We're going to turn a little bit away from the specific cigar and talk a little bit about, we have a great opportunity. We have a lot of people in the boutique cigar world on the as panelists tonight. And so we thought we'd take a minute and talk a little bit about boutique cigars. George, for anyone new to the cigar industry or smoking cigars, even as a consumer, well, I'm actually going to go back one level. We're going to throw in a question. How do you, there's no right or wrong answer. How do you define boutique?
Well, I mean, I guess that's a loaded question depending on who you ask. I guess
It
boutique
is. I get this question all the time.
yeah, I think boutique could be in essence uh, based on numbers, based on how small you are, comparably to bigger companies, right? So there's ultra boutiques, there's boutiques that, like, I consider myself a smaller boutique. In essence, we're more middle-sized company compared to the much bigger companies. But the reality of a boutique to me is based on the amount of production of that particular cigar, how small of a production it is. That's the way I approach it as a boutique, and it's something that is more. There's more attention to details in the blends. There's more. It's not a mass-produced cigar, in my opinion, where the on my side of the industry, the ultra cultivation of particular tobaccos just to create some blends that is more for the broader market. I think these are more niche blends, flavor, sizes, and that's really, in essence, what it is boutique for me. You could get a million different answers, but it really comes down to how small of the production and what are the materials that you're using for, and how well and big distribution is for that particular cigar. That's what I would consider a boutique.
Kathleen, just to get a different perspective.
Yeah, I mean, really, as a retail shop owner, I'm in Georgia's camp. I think it's the company size. It could be even a limited edition cigar, how the number of cigars that are produced, I think makes it boutique. And as a retailer, boutique cigars, that really requires us as salespeople, right? Hand selling that cigar, telling the story of that cigar, because people might not necessarily know about it. And maybe they do, but sometimes it just means, to me, it's a smaller company or a smaller production.
Okay.
And Crystal, you represent, so from my perspective, a broad range. You might say yes or no, but kind of how do you think about boutique?
Yeah. So, I mean, all of the brands in I have 6 brands, Aganorsa, Cavalier, El Septimo, El Mago, Chimali, Casa 1910, and all of them are boutique. I mean, even Aganorsa, although some may say something different about Aganorsa because they produce a lot more tobacco, but it is, for me, it's, again, going back to what Kathleen and George have already said, it's the smaller production, where I feel like boutiques also put a lot more like love, and you can feel that from the cigar, because they're limited quantities. They're a little bit harder to find, and they take the time and the effort to put into like as much love and care into the cigar making process rather than making massive quantities for mass production.
Great. Thank you guys. That was helpful framing for this conversation. Okay, so kind of back to George. What does it take then for a boutique? Did I just lose George? I think I did.
No.
Oh no, there, you just moved on my screen. Sorry. Apologies. So then share a little bit about what do you think it takes for a boutique cigar to kind of find its footing in the world, especially in a world where there's a lot of mass produced, still premium cigars, but with a lot more name recognition, walls of cigars when you walk in humidors, et cetera. How do you make sure your cigars stand out?
I think it really comes down to the quality of the materials that you're working with, the steps that you take to either farm the tobacco, cure the tobacco, age it in essence, and make the cigars. I mean, bringing to life a blend is, to me, more of an art form as opposed to just putting leaves together. I think anybody could do that in essence, but I think really coming down to uh, the idea that you could have tobaccos from different regions, from different valleys, from different countries interact with each other in order for them to burn harmoniously together, and from different years to taste particularly in one way and continue that uh, month after month or week after and year after year. That, in essence, it's what embodies the creation of a small boutique blend that you could continue to make, all right? So, in essence, it goes back to creating something that's special, that you could do only in small quantities because you're paying so much more attention to it. And it really kind of then drives into the quality of the cigar and the acceptance of the consumer at the end of the day is who you're thinking of as a cigar manufacturer. What is their palate gonna tell them when they're smoking a cigar that you're sort of blending together to bring to market? Hopefully that answers the question.
Very much.
Maybe I went into a whole other direction, but if you want me to elaborate more, let me know.
Kathleen, what makes you want to bring a boutique into your shop? It's certainly harder for you to get into the hands of people. So what makes you decide you want to take that leap? And then once you've taken that leap, how do you help get people introduced to it?
Yeah, well, I think, just to add on to what George is saying too, I think it's our responsibility, our job as retailers too, to get our customers to kind of think outside of the box a little bit sometimes too. You get a guy that's like, this is all I smoke. I smoke this every day. I'm not going to try anything else. We have that a lot in cigar shops. And I'm like, no, 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 no. You're going to take a chance. We're going to try something new today. And, doing that and getting them to buy the stick, they try it and they're like, oh, I really like that. Or maybe, I want something stronger or this or that. But I think you've got to get people to, try something new too. They're in the lounge every day. So let's try, open your palate up, open your eyes up to other cigars that are out there. And I think you have to believe in that brand that you brought in, right? You have to believe in that cigar, believe in the story of that cigar, and that makes you passionate for it. And then you've got to educate your staff as well, right? And it really helps like when somebody like Crystal comes in and talks about the cigar and teaches people about it because and then they try the cigar as well, so you got to put it in the hands of your employees too so they get to experience the cigar, and then the people that work for you believe in it also, and they're going to talk to our customers about it.
Crystal, hopefully I'm going to say something not too controversial, but I think we've all experienced that there are some very big brands out in the world, and the sales reps for those brands in many ways are order takers, right? People already know what they need. It's not a big heavy lift. They might have to educate people about a new cigar, but for the most part, the demand is there. That is not what you do. You work for some fantastic boutiques who have wonderful reputations, but I would imagine a lot of times you might be educating shops, and you're for sure educating consumers about the cigars that you represent. How do you do that? What is your approach on boutique brands and getting people interested and getting, sometimes stubborn cigar smokers who have smoked the same thing for 20 years and that's all they ever smoked to open their mind to something new?
Yeah, I think Kathleen like really hit the nail on the head with the educational piece. But also I have to be excited about what I'm selling to you, right? If I'm not excited and I walk in, I'm not going to be able to sell it to you. I'm excited about every single thing that I'm selling. And if I have something new, especially like this cigar, I'm going in and I am telling everybody about this new and exciting cigar and why they have to have it because they like it's gonna, they're gonna make their money back plus some, but they have to have that cigar, right? So, but it's the educational piece, to be honest with you. I do sit in lounges a lot, and when I am in there, depending on how long I'm there, if I see customers walking into the humidor, I'm going in to sell my brands out of the humidor. I'm helping the retailer move the product. I'll make a joke with them, and I'll walk into the humidor. I don't know this customer from Adam. I'm like, oh, are you looking for Cavalier? It's right here. And then they start laughing. And then like I kind of break the ice. And then I talk to them about, the cigars if they've never had it, see what they are actually looking for and if I can actually get them to buy. But because I've already like kind of like broke the ice with that question, it usually like loosens people up and it gets them to expand to something they may have never tried, you know?
Is there a particular thing that you have seen that really helps a cigar finally kind of break through to audiences and start to get legs?
Um, Honestly, the one thing that I've seen that like really helps is like getting people excited about it and the marketing for it. I'll just tell you just from my experience with one of my brands, it's a newer brand to market, Chimali. That cigar I don't have to sell, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, what is this brand?" But I have retailers calling me every day for that cigar because they've done really well at like marketing the cigar and just the story behind it. So I think like having a really good story, doing really good marketing, but also getting like the buzz out on like social media and other platforms is a really big help.
Great, great. Um, Where I've got you, let's talk a little bit about how to get Rise. Um, if somebody's listening, what's the best way to get in touch with you or their Gran Habano? Like, let's do this.
Yeah, they can either contact their Gran Habano rep. They can contact me. And if they don't have a Gran Habano account, obviously we would have to get paperwork and their tobacco license and all of the regular account information that we would need to set up the account. But yeah, if they want to contact their local rep or they can contact me, either way is, how they can get it.
Great. And George, what's the future of Rise look like? Is this a special edition, limited release? Is this something that if the demand is there, it'll stay in production?
Well, no, definitely. I really hope that this is just the beginning of the project. This is not a once and gone kind of project, in my opinion. But I also envision when I talked to the Women of PCA, I did mention that the goal would be for you guys for us to get it going, really get the project established, have the consumer really have a product that they're going to enjoy, and continue to come back and support Women of PCA. But eventually, it could also go to other cigar manufacturers. That's not necessarily just my idea that This is something that, as Women of PCA, they could expand on, grow, build the picture, the image that I said, and the story behind it. So this is just the beginning, and is hopefully, like the name, it will continue to rise and will continue to grow. And have a baby for me, a project that goes on to exist and grow is the most important thing for me. And so hopefully it's not a one-time project. It's a project that will continue to be around for years to come.
That's awesome. We're gonna have a quick lightning round. We'll start with you, George. One word to describe Rise.
Power.
Kathleen,
Exciting.
Crystal.
Strength.
I love it. George, back to you. The drink you want in your hand while smoking Rise.
Rum for me, or cognac. I can't drink.
Kathleen,
I got to go with an iced coffee.
nice. Crystal,
Coke Zero.
oh, nice. Best time of day for Rise, George.
All day long.
That was predictable. I agree. Kathleen,
I love it. Afternoons.
Crystal.
Gosh. I would have to say all day too.
And the question I'm very excited to ask, George, first, the one person you'd most want to share Rise with and why?
Well, I can't any longer because I would love to share that with my grandmother. She passed away a few years back, but I would love to share that with my Nona. That would be great.
Kathleen?
Yeah, I also can't do it, but I would love to share it with my brother who's no longer here. He'd be
And
very
Crystal.
proud of it.
I would have to say my best friend. Her and I are like, well, we were inseparable until now. We don't live close to each other anymore, but her. Yeah.
Great. Audience questions. Anybody have any questions for the panelists before we wrap things up this evening? Okay, while you guys are thinking of some questions, I'm going to call on two people. I think is Todd still on? Maybe we've lost Todd. I see Jay Davis is on, and I like to put Jay on the spot. Because Jay is a man in the cigar industry. He is an early and longtime supporter of Women of PCA, back before people even realized that men could be members of Women of PCA. And so, and Jay owns a shop in Dallas. Jay, I'd love just a few quick thoughts on Women of PCA and a cigar that's celebrating women, made by women for everyone. Anything you want to throw in or add, or anything on boutique cigars? We'd love to hear a little bit from you.
Wow, that's a lot.
Always.
I think the Women of PCA is outstanding. It's getting people more involved, and to me, it's not about seeing women as cigar smokers. It's seeing that the cigar community is a collective. And one thing I've seen, having worked on the board and also in the shop, it's not just elevating women. It is elevating women. It's elevating all smokers, and we have definitely seen an increase of women in our lounge. And I've discovered that a lot of women smoke much stronger cigars than a lot of men. So that's been exciting to see. And I agree with some of the comments made earlier about um, the boutique cigars. I'll give you an example. One of the reasons that Chamali, which was mentioned earlier, resonates in my lounge is I have customers who come in who they like the fact that it's a cigar company owned by Asians. That's important. It helps a lot of those customers identify with that. But at the same token, it's not like everyone who buys that cigar is Asian. And I think that is one of the cool things about boutique cigars and celebrating the fact that it is a community. You know, George mentioned about his grandmother and his mom and his aunt, and you see stories and hear stories about that all the time, that it's not just a bunch of old white dudes sitting in a room. You know, men and women for generations, going back hundreds of years, have been involved in smoking. And I think it's great the Women of PCA is showing that it isn't just one demographic, that it's all demographics. And I think that with the boutique cigars that you're seeing out there, you're seeing a lot of unique things. You know, George has done some very interesting projects. I believe that he had a cigar made a couple of years ago that was made at the Davidoff factory just to show different things that he could do. And George is a master of, you know, he's got some really high-end, expensive cigars, but he also has cigars that are very affordable that people just come and grab handfuls every day. And that's something that you don't see from a lot of the big manufacturers that you are seeing from more of the artisan manufacturers like George. And it's outstanding to see that.
Great.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you for letting me pick on you, Jay. I appreciate it. Joey and Julie, you guys are at the cigar shop. Any comments, feedback, questions from the audience before I kind of turn back to our questions in the chat?
So I have it on my phone too. So me and Joey are here.
Yay!
We're both loving it. This is my first cigar of the day. So I wasn't at my lounge all day today, and it's a great first cigar of the day. It's Joey's not first cigar of the day. So our palates are a little different.
And the flavor still comes through even after.
I don't know if I can hear because I have my headphone in. He said the flavor's still coming through even after some heavy cigars. So we're both enjoying it while listening.
That's fantastic. Great. I think we got a few audience questions. George, we've been asked again, the wrapper binder filler. Will you take everyone through the components of the cigar again before we wrap up?
It's a Habano wrapper from Ecuador, and then Nicaraguan binder and filler from different regions in Nicaragua.
Perfect. Any other questions before we wrap things this evening?
Amanda, can I just point out that Todd Johnson was the first man to join Women of PCA. So I do want to thank him for that. He's been a big supporter as well. So I love that we're coming live to his shop.
Yes, very, very much.
And can I also?
I understand. No, I understand. He had big voice.
He had to step out to make a phone call, but he is very proud of that fact, and he is very, very happy that we were able to broadcast it here, and we are all huge supporters.
Thank you, guys.
That's awesome. Amanda, can I also just say thank you to Monique?
Yes.
And to Hina and to Shanika on here too, because they did put a lot of work into the project, and I see they're all here. And Crystal, obviously, too.
Yes, absolutely. The event committee works tirelessly, not just on bringing a cigar to market, but also all the great Women of PCA events that have been hosted, and the PCA and big Women of PCA event during PCA, which we've been asked if there will be one, and I understand the answer is yes. Oh, Todd is back.
Hey, y'all.
Yes, Todd. I put Jay on the spot as one of the earlier male PCA members to support Women of PCA, but we know that you are a founding member of Women of PCA, and I think the first man to stand up and say yes. So we just wanted to kind of get your feedback on Women of PCA and what it means to you for a cigar like Rise to be out.
Yeah, I'll tell you, you know, at the PCA meetings, board meetings, there's one person that I don't care where we're meeting that I will always sit beside, and that is Miss Kathleen, because she is a very good friend, and she also keeps me straight, and she'll punch me if I start nodding off. And so I remember the day that they released this. And so Kathleen comes into the meeting and she gives me she shows me the new stickers. This was, I can't even remember how long ago it was, Kathleen. It's been a few years ago. And so she said, now this is what, new members we're kicking off. And I said, well, I want to be a member right now. Give me the paperwork, whatever I need to do. She said, scan this QR code. And I said, absolutely, I'm going to do it. And I said, am I the first? She said, absolutely. I want to be the first. Come on, Amanda. I've got to be the first.
I love it.
No, but the thing I love about it is the reason the organization I think is so cool is the engagement aspect of it and how, I mean, think about it this way. It's a Tuesday night on a random, a random Tuesday night in July. You have people from across the country that are engaged and coming together to support the industry, to support the cigars that we're smoking. And I just think that's really, really cool because there's other things that people could be doing, but they see the joy and the enthusiasm and want to be a part of this group. And that's what I have found is this group is engaged. They want to make a difference. They want to be involved. And that is a very contagious and intoxicating feeling. And so it's always been a privilege and a pleasure of mine to be one of the first, but also just to be a part of what I find is the coolest group in the cigar industry. And so I really appreciate y'all participating in this tonight. And we just love supporting the Women of PCA. It's a great, great group.
Well, thank you very, very much for everything you've done for us and for letting us use the cigar shop on the rocks for our first broadcast.
We love it. And we
Making history.
welcome. That's right. We're making history. See, I like to be first, man. I love to be first.
I love it. I love it. So a reminder to everyone that how we grow membership for the most part is from people like you telling your friends that are in the cigar industry to join Women of PCA. They do have to be a member of PCA, but if they work in a shop and the shop is a member, that will qualify them. And you can be a man or a woman, obviously, to join. And we would love to introduce Women of PCA to more people. So if everyone who's watching tonight can tell a few people, we will grow and we can share great nights like tonight with more people. And I think that's it, unless anybody has any other announcements this evening. We really appreciate everyone tuning in.
Thank you, everybody.
Crystal, Kathleen, George, sincerely from everyone at Women of PCA, thank you for all the work you did, as well as everyone in the events committee to bring this cigar to life. And thank you guys for agreeing to give up your evening to share the story with all of us.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Everybody.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Amanda, thank you.